Shalom. First and foremost, I'll let it begin by giving all praises, glory, and honor unto YAHAWAH, Bahashem, YAHAWASHI, Bahashem, Rakah Kwadash. Our double honors to the elder apostles, the elder bishops, and the elders of Great Millstone. Shalom to the elect. To all the dedicated brothers out there that's giving their due diligence and serving Yahweh through his only begotten Son, Yahawashi, in sincerity and truth. Alright, again, I'd like to say Shalom. Alright, today's topic I'd like to touch on keeping your head low or keeping your head down. Right? It could be a twofold topic, a twofold saying, because it should lean more towards being humble, humility, but in another sense, I'm trying to extract out this topic is staying out the radar, staying under the radar. Doing what you're supposed to do, serving Yahweh with your whole heart, mind, and soul, and staying away from the madness, because there is most definitely a lot of madness going on within our people right now, the nation of Israel, and our family. But those that's in the truth should understand that the things that's going on in this world, or things in the family, we shouldn't really be involving ourselves too much about it, because you might have a cousin, right, youngster, don't know any better, or he's just a troublemaker that might get into something. He might, trying to get out of the jam, he might call you, trying to involve you in some shit. And being compassionate towards your family member, we understand that more than likely that's the wrong move, because if they're not serving Yahawah, they got their own judgment on the way. And really, we're supposed to leave them so that way they learn, so that way they can fall back in the calling, fall back in what they're doing, and ask for advice, true advice, not seeking out help to help help them out of a jam for you to come through as extra muscle or something. Many things you could consider many things, but again, top of being keeping your head low, man. Understanding where your position at is in life, and that's not to sit in the seat of the scornful, which is a precept I wanted to bring out, but nevertheless, I'm going to start off. I'm gonna just get started. So Lord willing, this lesson is edifying. I'm gonna get to it. All right, this is the book of 2 Timothy chapter 2. Just going into what I was just mentioning, because this came in mind. Right, I'm reading the NLT. All right, 2 Timothy 2 and 3. Endure suffering along with me as a good soldier of Yahawashi Mashiach. Hamashiach Yahawashi, right? This is the point. Soldiers don't get tied up in the affairs of civilian life. So if you're a soldier for Yahweh Shem Yahawashi, you're not going to get caught up with the things that's going on outside of the truth, right? Because again, you might have a nephew, that's now above age, and he's trying to get out of a jam. He might have just committed a crime, and he wants you to pick him up. And you being compassionate because he's your nephew and you love him, might not be a good idea. And imagine you getting caught up with him, and now you're an accessory, aiding and abetting, and you don't know what kind of situation he's actually caught up in. He's just calling you for help, and then now it's possible. This is just it's just an example. What I'm saying, he probably killed somebody. Next thing you know, you're caught up in a jam, and you're known to be an Israelite. Right, they have images of you preaching, documents of you preaching. Now you gave them access to get the ministry blame, so just remain humble, man. Stay out the madness, bro. We got our own shit going. We already dealing with the scoffers, dealing with these other camps, trying to demonize what the 100% truth which we received from the elders, apostles on down, and their elders. Ultimately, it was received from on high. And, understanding this truth, you understand that the Most High is going to deal with man. He's going to pass it down to man. It's just up to you to discern. You go into that in the book of Malachi, the 3rd chapter, right? It was at verse 18, the last verse, what he goes into when you're going to come back and you're going to discern from those who serve the Lord and those that do not. So from, for our point of view, seeing, lining it up with the scriptures, we know who serves Yahweh Shem Yahawashi. When we start in these lessons, we give double honors, right? So take a wild guess, right? Elders, apostles of Great Millstone. Going back to the scriptures, right? Soldiers don't get tied up in the affairs of civilian life, for they cannot please the officer who enlisted them. Because if we do get caught up in the affairs of the things in the world, then we're slacking off. And if we're slacking off, we're not going to be able to please Yahweh Shem Yahawashi. So the best thing that we could do is humble down and stay low. right? Don't give anybody any access of trying to get the ministry blame. That's the last thing that you want to do, right? This is the book of Proverbs, the book of Songs, chapter 1, verse 1, right? Blessed is the man that walketh not in the counsel of the ungodly, right? You're not supposed to be in the way of these individuals in the world, because the ungodly is those that don't serve the Lord. Nor standing in the way of sinners, nor sitteth in the seat of the scornful. Let's read that in the NLT. Oh, the joys of those who do not follow the advice of the wicked, or stand around with sinners, or join with the mockers. Right? It brings a lot of joy for an individual to avoid those things, because once you see judgment starts hitting up these individuals that don't serve the Lord, you're gonna be like, man, I made the right choice, right? And a lot of people don't see it now, but you will see it pretty. You will see the reward of the righteous pretty soon, right? Verse 2, NLT, I mean KJV. But his delight is in the law of Yahawah Shai, and in his law do he meditate day and night. That's all you need to be worried about, right? Stay under the radar and meditate on the scriptures. Meditate in serving Yahawah Shai, how you could aid into being a better you, right? Because we definitely, every last one of us need working on, man. I mean, we would like to say the elders, they got it, this and that, but even they would admit that there's a lot of things to work on with all of us, man. So just taking a humble route, saying that we do all need to work on ourselves, because we can never go far enough when it comes down to serving Yahweh Shem Shah. The scriptures talk about since we look forward to the day of the coming of Yahweh Shem Shah, that we need to be blameless, spotless, without blemish, right? If we're presenting ourselves to Yahweh Shem Shah, we got to come correct. And, we can't be involving ourselves in the things of this world, right? This is the book of Matthew. This is the book of Matthew, chapter 8, verse 21. Right? And another of his disciples said unto him, YAHAWAH, suffer me first to go and bury my father. But Yahushua said unto him, follow me, and let the dead bury the dead. Right? Let's read that in the NLT, because a lot of y'all would think, well, this is talking about a man that's actually, trying to bury his father, right? Let's read that in the, verse 21. Another of his disciples said, YAHAWAH, first let me return home and bury my father. But Yahushua told him, follow me, and let the spiritually dead bury their own dead. Let those that's in the world deal with those kind of situations. We got bigger fishes to fry. We got a business to run, and we got a duty to fulfill, right? And that's to what? That's to bring in the lost sheep of the house of Israel, right? That's to preach this gospel, to get in the to bring in the flock, for lack of words, right? But again, let's not get carried away with the things of this world, because not saying that we're just 100%, but we are in a spiritual sense. We, even when we're not doing the work, our mind is always set on not breaking the laws, right? We're not going to involve ourselves in any position to find ourselves just being a complete demon. But I'm gonna go back to the scriptures. Let's go ahead and bring out the book of Sirach, because really this is where, right, this originated at, this topic. Because when I thought of this topic, I was thinking of these scriptures right here. I'm gonna start off in the book of Sirach, chapter 11, and this is a GNT, by the way, right? It's the book of Sirach, chapter 11, verse 9. Word slacking, not 9. Verse 10, and GNT. My child, don't get involved into too many things. If you try to do too much, you will suffer for it, right? So that's why the scripture's talking about, if you're trying to be the mastery, you're tempered in all things. Tempered meaning that your involvement in everything else is bare minimum, right? Because of course we got to live here. Of course we got to eat. Of course, brothers, it's not sodomites. We deal with women. But our involvement in other things, is bare minimum. It might only be 2-3 hours once a week. You know what I'm saying? Or sometimes it might escalate to twice a week, but every the rest of the days is focusing on watching videos, educating, ourselves, so that when we go out, we're able to be edifying. Where our mind is really in the scriptures. It's in serving YAHAWASHI, right? So we're not involving in too many things, right? It's a balance to everything. My child don't get involved into too many socket. My child don't get involved in too many things. If you try to do too much, you will suffer for it. You won't be able to finish your work, and you won't be able to get away from it neither. Right? You're not going to be able to finish what you started, because now you're getting distracted. Now you're steering away from, your mission, right? For instance, here is someone who never stops working like a slave, but gets further behind all the time. But the point is made on this, right? That was the point on that. Let me go ahead and bring out was that Sirach 3? It's the book of Sirach, chapter 3, verse. I'm gonna start in verse 21 again. This is the GNT. Don't try to understand things that are too hard for you. Right? Again, stay under the radar. Don't get caught up in all this drama. Right? You're doing too much. Trying to involve yourself in everything. You're trying to be a guidance counselor. You're trying to do this and do that, man. Stick to the scriptures, man. Stick to what you know. Stick what you're set up to do, and that's to preach to the nation of Israel. Right? We're not supposed to be, mingling in everybody's matters, as you would read this in the KJV. Don't try to understand things that are too hard for you, or investigate matters that are beyond your power to know. Right? Concentrate on the law. This is one of the points, right? Concentrate on the law which has been given to you. You don't need to know about things which the Other One has not revealed. Right? So don't concern yourself with them. After all, what's been shown to you is beyond human power to understand. So don't worry about what everybody else is going through, man. Right? Don't be concerned why, in the end of the day, everything's spiritual. Because we could only look at ourselves as a testimony in itself, because we wasn't even in a position of seeking the Lord at the time we found him. Right? My testimony is that, I was in the garage, just simply rolling up, getting ready to smoke, and stumbled into a video. I was actually up to no good, but the Spirit had it where I stumbled into the first video I ever seen was Apostle Tahor breaking down a name. Old school video, beautiful video. I will never forget that. Right? Breaking down the name of YAHAWASHI. And that triggered my spirit. I was so at awe that it compelled me to want more. From that point on, I'll probably try to seek one of those videos like once a week. I was still on my folly, but eventually I got out of it. Point being, we don't need to try to spoon feed everybody. We don't got to force anybody. That if the spirit wants it, you're gonna find His truth, and you're gonna be attached to it. You're gonna understand your calling when it's presented your way. But today's lesson was just pretty short. I just wanted to get into just remaining humble, man. Keeping your head down. Don't involve yourself in all this drama. It's a lot of drama going on right now. And just play your part. If you're an elder, of course, I'm not here to tell the elders to do anything. The elders play their part. They play it beautifully. Right? I'm just saying in general for brothers. You don't want to get caught up in the mix, especially if we're still babes trying to learn. Because what the elders is going to do, the elders is going to rebuke these spirits that need to be rebuked, and we're going to watch it. We're going to learn from it. And if it's in the spirit of you to rebuke somebody, one of these camp leaders, that's actually going off like tough, you're going to do it. But mostly don't involve yourself and try to figure out a dude's life story, why he went off, and things like that. The elders got, the reasons to do it because they're marking them so they could warn the flock. I'm not here to try to know a man's life story, why this man eventually came about and this happened and he fell off. you know, we got a lot of for the young bros. We got a lot of catching up to do. Right, things is moving in fast pace, and I'm just thankful that we in the race, man. I'm thankful that I'm in the race. You know, seeing the rejections that the Most High showed towards a lot of people, and you know, I'm still here fighting. You know, I could only wish that the Most High don't take the spirit away from me. I could only pray that YAHAWASHI take not the spirit away from me. Matter of fact, I'm gonna end off there, right? Because you know, just keep your head low, and ultimately you do it so that way you don't get the ministry blame, man. You don't want to do anything that's gonna get you caught up. Next thing you know, you saying something stupid or doing something stupid, and then guess what? They be like, well, this dude's an Israelite, and guess what? That's action for them to get the ministry blame, right? It's the book of Songs 51. Verse 10, created me a clean heart, O power, and renew a right spirit within me. Cast me not away from thy presence, and take not thy Holy Spirit from me. Right, and that's a beautiful prayer, man. That's a beautiful prayer that King David had, right? Because he personally saw a man that he probably looked up to at one point, you know, bugged out, and his spirit was taken away, and his spirit was troubled by evil spirits. So King David himself didn't want that to happen to him, and that's the same way we should be feeling, right? We don't want to get this far just to bug out, right? That's not cool, man. You know, especially knowing how the Most High get down and knowing what's coming in the near future, and ultimately what's coming to those that actually endure, right? We want the good things from Yahweh Shem Yahshua. We don't want to receive the evil. You know, we know that to the wicked, a lot of perilous times, not even perilous times, a lot of great miseries shall come to those that dwell in great part, right? And ultimately, that's to the wicked. You know, the only reason you was rejected because you didn't want to take the instructions of Yahweh Shem Yahshua. So we just got to be more careful in the way we navigate, you know, in life. You know, make sure that we do things decently in order. All right, so you know, I'm man off here. You know, again, that's another prayer to think about though. That ask Yahweh Shem Yahshua not to take the Holy Spirit, man, and you know, because you could be mending in one thing. Next thing you know, the last thing in your mind is the truth. Now you're just like that one dude that be doing the elders talked about him. Now he's doing all kind of herbs and stuff, but he was an Israelite at one point. Now he's not even thinking. Now he's just in the herbs and shit. Even though he'll say how whatever he'll claim the name, and he ain't even calling on the true name neither. You know, but that doesn't matter. He's just far gone. You could tell he's just a bug out. You know, and that's you don't want that. You don't want to start involving yourself. You know, in the truth. Now you're involving yourself here and there, mingling a little bit, and the next thing you know, you just slowly but surely slipping, man. That's a scary feeling. I don't want that. You know, I know brothers don't want that. So, you know, just pray. You know, keep your head low, stay out under the radar, and just do what you're supposed to do, man. Just work. Just like you know, liking this into a business, man. When you go to work, you know, you don't want to be that dude that's known for always being late. The dude that's always taking a bathroom break. The dude that's always calling off, or the dude that's always talking or sitting down. You know what I'm saying? You want to be known. You the best thing that you could do at a job is to not even be noticed. You know, them not saying nothing is better than them saying something because that's them correcting you, man. You going unnoticed, they'd be like, well, damn, you worked there for 10 years. I never, because you've been doing your thing. And then they start looking at the history behind you, be like, well, he rarely calls off, right? Never got a write up, never late. Those things look good, man. And that's how we need to be. We just need to be on point. You know, thankful to be here, right? Not making it a burden upon nobody else, and not involving ourselves in other man's business, man. We understand there's a time and place for everything. You know, brothers should take it with a grain of salt. I'm not just saying don't. You know, of course, you know, sometimes you might, you know, your wife might go through something, but just be mindful. Yahweh Shem Yahshua is first, and this ministry is first. So I'm man off here, Lord. One of the lessons edifying. I'm man off by giving all praises, glory, and honor unto Yahawah, Bahashem, Yahawashi, Bahashem, How Rakah, Quadash. You know, again, up bonus to the elder apostles, the elder bishops, and the elders of great millstone. Shalom to the elect. Shalom, Akim. Shalom.